If you are losing matches in Marvel Rivals and you're not sure why, it might not be your aim, your team, nor even your hero choice. It could just be bad habits. And today I'm breaking down 7 of the most common mistakes or bad habits that are holding players back, whether you're hard stuck or just trying to hit the next rank. And if you're trying to form a very good habit, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. But without further ado, let's dive straight into our first habit. Let's talk about ability discipline, one of the most important and most ignored fundamentals in Marvel Rivals. And I see this in every rank, players hitting their leap, dash, or block the second it comes off cooldown like it's a reflex. But here's the thing. No, not that thing. If you blow your movement tool the moment it's ready, you're not making a play, you're making yourself vulnerable. And you have just used your best disengage or engage option for nothing, and the enemy knows it. Now, in Marvel Rivals, every cooldown is kind of like currency. Your dash isn't just a movement skill, it's a survival check. Your leap isn't just mobility, it's a threat. And your shield, well, that's essentially your second life. Now, a majority of the top players know that holding cooldowns is in turn akin to pressure. They wait for the enemy to commit first, a stun, an ult, or a hard engage, then they strike. Because that's the difference between panicking under pressure and controlling the fight. If you're burning abilities early, you're just flipping a coin in every engagement. Now, you want to fix this habit by asking one question every time you're about to use a cooldown. What am I trading this for? If the answer is just moving around, you're wasting it. Now, don't get me wrong, discipline doesn't mean never using your abilities, it means using them with a purpose. That's how you survive longer, create more space, and turn fights in your favor. Now let's talk about some cooldown habits to break. You don't necessarily need to use movement all the time just to rotate or to poke. You can just walk around the map normally. You always want to be looking to save some mobility for enemy dives, ults, or burst damage. And a majority of the time you want to match your cooldown usage to your team's tempo. Now you also want to be looking to track key enemy abilities. You want to bait before you burn. You want to be looking for things like Regeneration Domain from Loki, Soulbond from Adam Warlock, Bubble from Cloak and Dagger, and the list goes on and on. Now, if you can break this habit alone, you'll start surviving more fights, trading better, and instantly climb in impact. No aim buffs really required. Now, the second most common habit I see is overextending after getting a pick or an elimination. Now, you secure one clean elimination and suddenly you think you are the main character, but here's the thing. No, not that thing. Marvel Rivals isn't an anime. The solo hero arc rarely ends well. Now, this is one of the most common throw patterns in the game. Someone gets a pick, gets overconfident, and immediately overextends, diving deeper into the enemy territory with no plan, no support, and no way out. Instead of snowballing the fight, you turn it into a 4v6 or a 4v5, and you give the enemy an opening to stabilize or counter push. Now, the best players know when to press and when to pull back. They ask the right questions before committing. Do I have backup? Do I have cooldowns? And can I escape if things go wrong? Now, overextending isn't confidence, it's careless, and it's one of the easiest ways to throw a winnable fight. You want to secure the elimination or secure the early pick, stabilize, regroup, then push with numbers. This game rewards team execution, not solo hero plays. Now, here's a little bit of a checklist I want you to keep in mind before you push in after getting a pick or an elimination. Is your team close enough to follow? Are your abilities available? Are you pushing into enemy reinforcements, meaning people just coming back from their spawn or getting respawned by a rocket or Adam Warlock? And do you gain objective control from this aggression? Because if you're just pushing in and you don't even have the objective, you getting picked in return could lose you the objective, so you always have to be mindful of that. Now, a single elimination is an advantage, but how do you use that advantage? That's what separates smart plays from throw moments. Now, moving on to our third habit, that's ignoring the objective. Now, I don't see this a ton anymore, but you still get those rare occurrences of people quote-unquote C9ing, and if you don't know what C9ing is, you're about to capture the objective or the points in overtime, and everybody, for whatever reason on your team, decides to get off the point, and you just lose because you didn't stay on. But that's besides the point. You could have literally aimbot level aim, headshotting everyone in sight, but if you're doing it 30 meters away from the payload, congratulations, you're fragging and losing. Now this might be the most infuriating way to lose a game. You're winning duels, you've got picks, but the enemy team, they're standing on the cart uncontested, just waltzing it into your base while your team is chasing someone into the backline. Now yes, eliminations and picks are only valuable if they lead to something. For example, space, pressure, and objective time. If they don't, they are just empty stats. The scoreboard doesn't matter if you're watching the enemy cap the final point. Again, people still don't understand that this isn't team deathmatch. This is an objective-based combat game. The game isn't asking who can click the fastest, it's asking who can control the map, convert eliminations into space, and stand on the right part of it, all when it matters. Now don't worry, it's probably one of the easiest things to fix. If you're unsure of where you should be, rotate to the objective, fight on it, around it, or just a nice space near it. Because if your entire team is off point and no one's touching, you're not outplaying, you're honestly throwing. Now when it comes to objective awareness fixes, you want to be looking at to prioritize fights on or near the point/payload. You always want to pressure space that matters, not just eliminations. You also don't want to chase, you want to convert picks into zone control. Also, you want to track enemy respawns, don't stagger, and you want to stabilize with the rest of your team. Smart teams play for the win condition, and unless you're wiping the enemy off the face of the map every single fight, the win condition is always going to be the objective. Now we come to tunnel vision 1v1s. You spot a low health enemy and suddenly your brain switches off. You ignore the team fight, ignore the objective, and now you're full W keying, chasing that 1 HP Starlord across the map like your life depends on it. Meanwhile, their Hulk just slammed 3 of your teammates off the objective and now your team's down in numbers, cooldowns, and control, all because you wanted 1 kill that didn't even actually matter. Now this is classic tunnel vision. You get locked into a 1v1 or low health chase and forget that Marvel Rivals isn't a deathmatch, it's a coordinated team shooter. Every second you're chasing someone who isn't a threat, you're not peeling for supports, contesting space, or finishing off actually high value targets. Now believe it or not every duel is worth taking. Even if you're confident you'll win, the best players understand when to press for value and when to break off. If an enemy is dragging you out of the fight, kiting you, or baiting you into a trap, let it go. That 1v1 is their win condition. Instead, lock in on priority targets, supports who are enabling the enemy team, isolated squishies caught out of position, or anyone critical to the enemy's front to back or dive setup. Now, discipline isn't just about surviving, it's about impact. Ask yourself, is this duel helping my team win the fight, or just inflating my ego and risking a stagger? Now, how do we avoid tunnel vision? So you want to keep these things in mind. Don't chase low health targets out of fights, only if absolutely necessary, of course. Break off 1v1s if your team needs help. Prioritize high impact picks like supports, DPS, and isolated backliners, because every second away from your team equals lost value. The match isn't just 1v1v1s, it's one a coordinated team fight, so keep your eyes on the bigger picture and stop throwing over one glowing red health bar. Now moving on to our next habit, we have forcing the same hero every game, or being a one trick. Now let's be real, we all have a comfort pick, that hero you lock in no matter what the map, the team comp, or the enemy lineup is. But if you're one tricking Hulk into every situation like it's a personal trait, you're not climbing, you're griefing. Believe it or not, Marvel Rivals is all about synergy, adaptability, and reading the situation, not picking Spider-Man. And forcing the same hero every match without considering context is like trying to play chess using the same opening even when you're losing. Now the problem isn't your one trick or your comfort pick, it's your refusal to switch when your hero isn't working. Maybe the enemy comp directly counters you. Maybe your team already picked 3 dive heroes and your sniper pick is leaving them unsupported. Either way, you're not maximizing value, you're just making it harder for the team to win. Now the best players don't just main a hero, they build a toolkit. At least one character per role per playstyle. That way when the draft is awkward or the matchup's tough, they can flex. They fill the gap and they win because they're flexible, not stubborn. Now you don't have to master every hero, but you should know how to fill critical needs. Can you swap to peel if your support is getting dove? Can you pick dive if your team needs engagement? And can you flex off your comfort pick if it's being hard countered? Climbing in Marvel Rivals isn't about forcing your way through every game with your favorite pick. It's about learning when to pivot and how to adapt what's actually happening in the lobby. My biggest tips are to learn 1 to 2 heroes per role you can swap to confidently. You want to identify when your main is getting hard countered. pick based on team needs, not just personal comfort, and you want to view hero swaps as strategic plays, not losses. In high level play, flexibility is a win condition. The faster you break out of the one-trick tunnel vision, the faster you become a real problem for the enemy team. Now, our sixth habit is not peeling for your supports. Your support is back there screaming, getting dove by two flankers, and you're off chasing eliminations like you're in the action movie montage. Spoiler alert, you're not the healer and your team is about to lose the fight. One of the fastest ways to throw a winnable teamfight is to leave your supports high and dry. You might think your job is to frag out, but in Marvel Rivals, peeling is just as valuable as pushing. If your Cloak and Dagger dies without using ult, is forced to burn cooldowns just to survive a dive pressure, you've already lost the sustain war. Supports can't carry you if they're busy keeping themselves alive. Now, peeling isn't glamorous, but it wins fights. It's the decision to not chase that 1 HP Hawkeye so you can body block for your Luna. It's using a crowd control ability to peel off a Spider-Man before he finishes off your backline. It's seeing a dive before it lands and acting on it. And here's the best part. When you peel correctly, you don't just save your supports, you turn fights, because most divers commit their cooldowns up front. If you interrupt the burst and collapse on them after, they are free picks. Now you want to stop associating peeling as babysitting and start seeing it for what it is: zone denial, teamfight control, and anti-dive punishment. The more your supports live, the more value they get, and the more value they get, the harder your team snowballs. So what are these support peeling essentials? First, check behind you for dives when a fight breaks out. Crowd control, body block, or trade aggressively to defend supports. You always want to track diver cooldowns, punish them after they engage, and stay within peel range unless your comp is, full dive. The longer your support line lives, the more heals, the more ults, the more tempo your team gets. Don't be the guy who top frags but loses every fight because your Cloak and Dagger was left to die in the corner. Now, the last habit that I see a ton is wasting ultimates with no impact. You've got your ultimate ready. You're feeling the pressure and suddenly, boom, you fire it off into a single group who's already half dead and healing behind a wall. Congratulations, you just burned your team's win conditions on a highlight clip that won't even make it onto Twitter. And now the real fight breaks out and, well, you got nothing. Ultimates in Marvel Rivals aren't just abilities, they're fight-defining moments. When you use one, you're signaling to your team, now, this is the fight we win. So when you pop it with no setup, no plan, no follow-up, you're not creating an opportunity, you're wasting one. Now, a good ultimate doesn't just do damage, it buys space, isolates targets, forces movement, cooldowns, and panic. And most importantly, it creates a window where your team can capitalize on. That means before you press Q on your keyboard, ask yourself 3 things. Do we have follow-up? Is this turning the fight? And can we win off this push? If the answer is no, then chill, you're not on a timer. Now, top players don't panic ult. They build around their ultimates. They call the combo, sync with cooldowns, and wait for value, not vibes. Now, before you ult, you want to think of this. Don't ult solo tanks or isolated targets unless it secures a fight or guaranteed elimination that will change the course of the fight. You always want to be looking to combo with teammate abilities, whether it's some sort of crowd control ability, AoE, or a zoning tool. You also want to use ults to swing fights, break chokes, or stall objectives. You want to think, does this ult open a win condition, not just can I get an elimination? Ults aren't panic buttons, they're finishers, initiators, and tempo resets, so don't waste them on low impact moments, save them for when they actually win the fight. And if you want to see more Marvel Rivals habits that you want to see fixed, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you have your own habit that you just can't seem to break, again, let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, I hope you have a great day, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.